Hey everybody, this is Marsilio, and thanks for joining me on the weekend for my take on markets. This is going to be an interesting week. As usual, I'm going to try and keep it snappy, but always several things to say. So let's start with a review. I took a break from video. It's a little mini vacation around 4th of July, but said overall expecting up across the board July 3rd to the 5th. And that largely played out for indexes, and then came into the week saying base case NASDAQ higher, which played out mostly. I'll get to charts in a minute. And but also warned of a one-day rug pull, and that Thursday was the day likely to go down. All this was in the daily quick takes, and Thursday got slammed. But not just across the board. It was a very interesting day, as market participants know. The other thing I really nailed was Bitcoin. And for those of you who I know I do some intraday stuff, but some people think, oh, I'm just intraday. So I don't know. I'm not handing out entry stop target levels, but in the last space, for example, I'm just going to do a little bit more of a review on Bitcoin and then get to the others. I said last day for particularly negative cycles is July 11th. It can get a little higher, look like a low range test and could rally. Better chance of rally starting 12th of July and much more likely after 21st of July. I think downside is about near term may need a test, may need a low super reversal, better chance of rally ahead. I do think that's likely. All these are exact quotes from the space, and furthermore repeated several times in my daily quick takes. Last week of the last of the extremely negative period. Not expecting a rocket up, but downside should be mostly wrapping up. That was referring to the week as a whole. Cryptos are trying to hammer out a low before a better bounce. I'd like to see some higher low this Thursday, Friday, then rally. Nailed. Much more likely that key low is in if we believe correlation with Russell IWM, RTY, all same vehicles for different vehicles for same index. And I do. Nailed. So, what you do with that really depends whether you're an investor, a long-term investor, a more active investor looking at daily chart, or a swing trader. And I think people want setups, and that's going to be that's a work in progress for me. I have a few different ideas about that, but beyond the scope of this video. So anyway, that was the Bitcoin review. And then very quickly look at the NASDAQ review. So base case higher, and then Wednesday warned of one day soon, one day rug pull. And Thursday was a down day, and even warned of selling coming into that day, sell the news. So didn't quite get to my target level, but even in that day's note said it may not get there due to sentiment. More on that later. So have to say a pretty good take on the week, and the best trades are really up to you. The best move was really hedging on the NASDAQ to protect those gains, and this is one circumstance that dramatically illustrates if you got a hedge, better do correlated, because if you got a short, it's really different than a hedge. Like short is a trade to bet on downside. A hedge is an offsetting position that will gain if your existing positions lose. And so there are different ways to do that depending on your role in the markets. But for example, the right QQQ puts really did well on Thursday if you believed in the rug pull idea and semiconductors, etc. So, and then cryptos getting in towards the end of the week, so far looking good. And other trades are also ample opportunities. A lot of things are going up right now. Metals also, so we'll take a look at that. The other thing we've got coming onto this week, obviously, is the recent political news. So, and that's somewhat of a wild card. I'll get to more of that in a minute. Now, the reason I started with this guy, for those of you who don't know, this guy's a legend. He worked for Soros and may have been I don't really know. He's too classy to say that, he was more responsible. He worked for Soros. Soros made a famous bet against the Bank of England that netted $1 billion, which is a lot. So real money back in those days. But this guy had amazing 30% for 30 straight years. Now, if you're crypto people saying, oh, that's nothing, he's running real money and once you get into big leagues, you can't just do little altcoins, and also in the asset classes that he was working with just did not have like 10,000% return. And so he's a legend, and also a very classy guy, humble guy. He always maintains a kind of curious, amused look on his face, and he's definitely one of my trading idols. Also, because he went to a liberal arts school like myself, and seeks to understand the whole picture and all the connections. So I'm talking about him because he made some news recently. He's just managing his own money right now. He doesn't have to report to investors, but made some news selling NVIDIA and buying small caps. Now, why would he do that? Well, first of all, if you've got a big position, you got to sell when other people are buying. Otherwise, you can't unload. So that's one reason. And he's already skating to the puck before it gets there. He knows the entire history of the Fed, the entire history of markets, like you wouldn't believe. And he's already making a bet that Fed's going to cut. Why? Because that was the history. Once Fed really got in gear with cutting, small caps rallies, he's already thinking that far ahead. And in any case, we know that Russell got a big pop once it looked like the Fed was going to be more aggressive in their rate cuts. So how do we know that? Again, this CME rate hike odds, I've been checking it. I want to do a better data viz on this because they really don't illustrate dramatically. So first of all, the upcoming meeting end of July, virtually no chance of that's still, even though it's 93 is still kind of done deal. I don't think anyone's really expecting a cut coming up, or that would be unusual. That's a fringe possibility. I have to say, okay, it's possible, but 93% no cut. But look at September. September is the one that, a month ago was only 62%. Now it's 88%. That's like done, getting into done deal category. A week ago is 72%. So already moving up quite a lot. Now 88%. So this 90% is only because there's some more chance of two cuts. So this is getting priced. And by that, we see this in charts because indexes, everything lining up for the bulls. How is this all connected? I'm going to go straight to charts that show, so I'll get the right one. Actually, I want to show this a little bit more clearly. Not that one, not that one, not that one, not that one. Where is it? Yes, okay, here we go. Sorry about that. So when I say this is getting priced, it means that from the start of the quarter, dollar was actually trending above all pivots, above all moving averages as of the end of quarter two, and it's just going down hard. And all of a sudden, it's below a lot of levels, below a falling 50 moving average. Moving averages have rolled over, below a falling 200 moving average, and there's only one pivot left and one 325 daily moving average up. So dollar's coming down hard, which supports all risk assets, commodities, and Bitcoin too, for that matter. And yields. Yields look like they're about to break out, and they've been coming down. So similar technical picture on the 10-year, below 3 pivots, below falling 200 moving average, and the only one left is a yearly pivot and 325. So as long as the cut plan is alive, these are going to come down. And this is also why VIX, it's like keep calm by the dip. It's tested its July pivot a couple times. This was fractionally kind of on, not enough to say lifting from support. It's much different look compared to, early April when it really jumped and down the next day. So bulls in charge on the VIX. So I look at these charts every day and I comment on my quick takes. And the other thing is Smart Money Tell HYG. For a long time, this was a glaring non-confirm. And I was like, I don't know, how's this going to resolve? And then really got going, especially the third, this day, the 3rd to the 5th, the period I thought was going to be bullish. And now it's virtually breaking out up. So above all pivots, above all moving averages. That is, in my view, very supportive of risk on. And we also saw that with rally really broadening. So this is just commentary for those who are interested. Let's look at some other index charts very quickly. Interesting situation. Most look fine. Although, you know, tech started to see a little bit more selling, obviously, as people basically locked in some gains they had in tech with RSIs really up there and bought something else that may have better chance of rally. So I'll be watching this July R1 and NASDAQ. And then particularly interest is semiconductors up against this R3 level again. 1 day overshoot so far, and then big selling. So of course, NVIDIA influencing that. And I have seen moves, you know, amazing moves end on yearly R3. So I'm watching this carefully. But then on the flip side, Dow really got going above its yearly pivot, yearly R1 that it acted. You know, that was the exact top there. Overshoot just a couple days there. Looked like, and all of a sudden that's above. And then the Russell, oh my gosh, this probably caught a lot of people. But look at how helpful these pivots were. Said if Russell's holding pivots, there's really no bearish scenario because all four indexes are doing fine. And sure enough, actually several holds. This level is the second half pivot and exact. The quarterly pivot is above, but second half pivot right there. Again, only here you're going to see that second half pivot because TradingView doesn't have it. I have it because I tweaked the code. But if you want that, you're going to have to let me know because TradingView didn't want that to be public, so it's invite only. And then here on Wednesday, boom, all of a sudden, holiday, but above all pivots, above all moving averages, and big blast off, all of a sudden, new high of the year. So Russell's on the move. And, you know, other commodities also slowly creeping up, and depending on the dollar move, may launch in a big way. Crude oil not doing as much, but gold near highs, silver near highs, GDX all look like they could get moving, especially if the dollar comes down further on Trump news. So that's just a quick chart rundown for those who are interested in Bitcoin. You know, let's not go too far from that. I talked about a reversal bar qualified on the 8th, and then here's that higher low right on Friday, and all of a sudden a back above daily 200 moving average, which really helps. I think this should go further. And, you know, I think that we got the target range that I wanted, and this was a low sweep to get everybody scared with below that prior low, and we're back above it now, and price action's constructive. I'd like to see further gains this week, and especially from 21st of July on, kind of a must rally period, but I think it's got a good shot for higher. And again, what you decide to do with that information, again, long-term investor, active investor, swing trader, all a little bit different emphasis in my work, but more on that for another day. Other cryptos looking similar. So my take on the current week, so that was a kind of lengthy chart review, and I guess the reason I wanted to start with Druckenmiller is not only is he one of my trading heroes and idols, completely classy guy, very successful, but still maintains a curious, humble curiosity about markets, but he's just got the whole history down. And so when he was selling NVIDIA already toppy, he's not worried about the last 5%. He says, okay, because he's got a big position and he's already made 500%. But he's bought small caps, and now he's up on that. So, you know, these guys already kind of know if they're good, they're not right all the time, and they're dealing with position sizes that make some of their moves maybe less immediately obvious. But he is on top of that idea Russell trade and looking good right now. So this week I expect an early high and a later low. And one of the reasons I got data for that, but also sentiment is really coming down. It's probably going to be, so this is a weekly put call ratio, special sauce on the Bollinger Band and moving averages, a little different than usual. But look, only a handful of periods lower than now, and one of them was QE Infinity work from home rally, and that is not, I bracket that as not likely to repeat. And then the daily, very similar. This is going back just a couple of times been this low. So heading into option expiration week, there's one direction the market makers do not want the market, and that is up, especially in the popular names. That would suggest selling pressure in tech, and indeed we've already seen a little softening in the trend in Mag 7 and big cap tech that led the rally as others get going. So I think that could happen again, and the trades are going to be catching someone off, some by surprise, or they can just drain premium, not let it go higher. That's another way negative kind of stuck energy or mixed energy can play out, especially towards the end of the week. Maybe it's just a quiet sideways. But with the Trump news, I think it's going to be an interesting open. Again, early high, later low. Best expression of that? Not totally sure. Tech, there's other positive factors in play, and dips may still likely be bought. But in general, I think we'll more likely to see, like I said, an early high, probably in Monday, Tuesday, and then later low. But at the same time, I think cryptos, small caps, better chance of rally through the week. And then we'll see about commodities. Two commodities could have a big breakout. Dollar gets slammed on the open, but if you're not in it now, it's going to be a chase. So it's hard, tough to position on a chase. Better to do a better ad setup, in my view, in those situations. So that's my take on the week in general. And then this section, let's see, I'm gonna include a few interesting data charts. This is a little bit for the Astrofluent. And if you're not Astrofluent, you can watch if you're curious, but this is some of the data that I'm looking at, just some of the data I'm looking at to come up with a view. But I come up with these views kind of loosely and then use technicals to guide my positions. I really feel like this is the best strategy. I did just nail the Bitcoin, which was great, and sometimes I can do that, but it's hard to do that all the time, especially every single day. I just want the main big move or the most important, best move of, today, this week, this month, this quarter. Beyond that, I'm not thinking too much. In any case, one thing I do want to say, Tesla at a very interesting juncture. I'm going to get to a different chart on that because of the Trump news and Elon's recent support of him. Not quibbling with that, just pointing out that after an explosive rally, big slam on the robotaxi delay news, and back above, and now below yearly R1. So if the market thinks that Trump increased odds or is going to somehow be good for Elon and Tesla, then that's going to be above that yearly R1. And who knows where it could go if I have the timing right. The huge catch-up play in Tesla is still possible, but the delay was serious news, so I'm not sure how that plays out. But in any case, 253 is the level below. If tech is sold, maybe it goes with, or Tesla could be uncorrelated. And 253 is the level I'm watching along with that rising 10 MA. So now on to some other charts that I wanted to show for the Astro Fluent and curious. This has got a lot of stuff that I look at to come up with these views that I kind of tongue-in-cheek call musings and wiggles. So just a couple of them. Start out with an easy one. This is Jupiter sign for the Russell, and so far, Jupiter in Gemini has been, so that's the light blue, totally fine for S&P, totally fine for NASDAQ, a little bit stuck, okay for the Dow coming, steady up. Russell was doing nothing, and it was one of the things I mentioned in the space. I was like, I really thought Jupiter in this placement was going to be better for small caps. And that's looking a lot more correct, I must say. But also cryptos. I thought it was going to be better for cryptos, and that is starting to look a little bit more correct, and I think can continue. Some other charts of note. Let's see. I'm going to look at this one. Is a specific division of Mercury, and if just looking at bull markets this decade from 2022 bear market low, this is S&P, then 2023 to current, slightly we're still number 2 this year. So we've got this going on this week. So that's going to support markets, but I also think it's going to support cryptos and small caps most of all. And then another positive edge in play, again, S&P, whoops. This is a Venus position from the bear market low, best returns there from last year. Okay, second best from 2023 low, and this year also second best. So both of these are in play, and yet I still think other factors, other data points that I'm not showing indicate tail off into the end of the week along with sentiment. So I think that's going to do it. And again, I'll say this in the bigger picture, how markets move from 21st of July. You know, it's hard to imagine a big sell with the Fed meeting just 10 days away from that. Who's going to want to really miss out on Fed? Maybe it's a buy the rumor, sell the news kind of event. But still a major change in markets on the 21st for several weeks going forward. And I consider that a must rally phase for cryptos. And I think that's looking good so far. So that's going to do it. Thanks again for your interest in my take on the markets. Stay tuned with the daily quick takes. And, you know, if you're interested in something a little bit more formal, I know people reached out and be like, you know, I mean, I know my analysis is really good, and I've been reluctant to hand out entry, stop, target, because I'm covering so much and then doing my own thing intraday. Like, but I'm still in the process of developing what I think is a good a service that will be sustainable for me and of value to you. And I realize now, you know, just the analysis itself maybe takes some work to dig into, and then up to you to find these expressions where, you know, that's probably asking a little too much for many people. The other thing we could do is have some more seminars on what I think are good setups. Like first, I have a whole philosophy of trading and investment management. And there's a step before this, actually, a couple steps before this that I won't get into. But in terms of setups, there are 3 in particular that I use from 1 minute up to quarterly, same technical view, repeating the same process, looking for the same patterns. I did do one YouTube short about that earlier in the week. So if you're interested in this, reach out, say, yeah, I'd be really curious in that. It would not be free like the Bitcoin data webinar I did recently, because I really put a lot into it. But I think it gives information that's potentially valuable for the rest of your investing, trading life. It's really good stuff. I've been working on this a long time. This is not just musing and wiggles. And if you have any doubt, you're looking at a portion of my timing work right there. And I've done, you know, also quite a lot on technicals. And while we're on this subject, I just want to give an example using a 4-hour chart. I'm going to find the right chart on what I did personally in terms of a swing trade. You know, I didn't spell it out, but, you know, I said, okay, 3rd through the 5th should be bullish. And here's a 4-hour bar where, first of all, we have just a little bit here. Tech, you know, so far, this is NASDAQ futures. It's above pivots, but below its weekly pivot, kind of not really giving any clear signal. It was above on Monday, but came down. But the second time here, this was a good signal. Why? Because MACD above pivots, above moving averages. And so I actually did take a long early Wednesday on different vehicles, and then was going, you know, pretty easy hold. The other thing we had was 4th quarter moon in play for a big part of that. Maybe I can sneak that in there. This is the reliable up for leverage that was right there. So I was kind of keen on that. And then I saw this up here, you know, and then thought, okay, rug pull. So I had already taken a portion off, taken another portion off, and then got stopped. So that was a pretty good. Did I buy the low? No. Did I sell the exact high? No. Did I get a lot of the move on leverage, including leverage in an account that I don't even use leverage that much? Yes, I did. Now, that was how I applied my analysis to the market. But I realized it would be much easier for people to just get, but what's more useful for you to learn how to do this yourself, or me to hand out signals that you blindly follow and hope I'm right and also get them in time? That's a whole nother issue with some of these frurus that, the management is not just for them, but it's for you in the translation of that information. In any case, that was just one example. And glad to see crypto's perking up as planned. That's going to do it for this video. Probably gone a little bit longer. Thank you for staying with. If you're, and please, if you're interested in something a little bit more formal, please do reach out, because I'm genuinely curious in what you have to say, what would be helpful for you, whether you just want the signals, I don't care about anything else, or you'd like to understand some of these setups and what I'm doing with these pivots. I mean, look at this move. It's just so clear to me. This is why I like them so much, that with tweak MACD and pivots, get good signals trending up, turn right on a weekly level, back down to the weekly pivot. Textbook move, really. I don't know. It just happens over and over and over again. And so if you'd like to understand this more fully, reach out. Or if you're just like, nah, I just want the signals and the levels, let me know, because that might influence my choices going forward. Thanks again. Have a good weekend. Good luck on the coming week.